Caltrop is the first and the last female character appearing in the Story of the Stone. She carries the important function of foreshadowing the fates of other female characters. Caltrop was born into a scholar family and much loved by her father, Zhen Shiyin. When a monk and a Taoist tried to take her away from her father, claiming that she is an ill-fated creature, Zhen Shiyin would not let his daughter go. But not long after that, Caltrop was kidnapped and later sold to the abusive Xuepan as a maid. Therefore, Caltrop's original name was Zhen Yin, a homophone for such a pity. Cao Xueqin subtly used this name change from Lotus to Caltrop to set the tone for Caltrop's tragedy. Jia Baoyu read a poem about her in The Land of Illusion that also describes this association. Your stem grew from a noble lotus root, yet your life passed, poor flower, in low repute. Next to the poem was an illustration of a withered and broken lotus plant in a dried-up, muddy pool. Even when Caltrop later rose to be a concubine of Xuepan, Xue's jealous wife tortured her in all possible ways. Caltrop eventually died in chapter 120 while giving birth. The brightest moments of Caltrop's life occurred when she came to live in the Prospect Garden and learned to write poems. In these moments, her talents and passion reflect her close connection to a noble lotus. Caltrop not only devoted herself to reading and writing poetry to the extent that she forgot about eating and sleeping, but also quickly absorbed advice and made significant progress after only a few rounds of editing. This innate love of poetry reveals that Caltrop kept her intellectual curiosity as a scholar's daughter, despite having lived mundanely and miserably as Xuepan's maid for years. Her quality reminds me of the Song poet Zhou Dunying's line about Lotus. It emerged untainted from the mud, rising cleanly above ripples of water with an unaffected grace. Caltrop's ability to remain innocent at heart despite her turbulent life aligns with the Lotus trait of coming out of murky water yet still maintaining purity. On the other hand, in chapter 7, Zhourei's wife pointed out that Caltrop looked somewhat like Qin Keqing. We know Qin Keqing enjoys rare beauty, to the extent of combining the looks of Lin Daiyu and Xue Baochai. Therefore, Caltrop also resembles the lotus in the aesthetic sense. Chinese poets often compared beautiful women to lotuses, such as in Cao Zhi's line, "When nearer I viewed her, she glowed like a lotus coming out of clear waves." Therefore, the associations between Caltrop and Lotus suggest that she never lost her essential purity and loveliness in spite of the misfortunes that had happened to her. While the lotus represents Caltrop's essential quality, the image of Caltrop itself illuminates Caltrop's function as a mirror for characters around her. In chapter 1, the monk and the Taoist intoned a poem to Zhen Shiyin after he refused to give away Caltrop. Fond man, your pampered child to cherish so, that Caltrop glass which shines on melting snow. Here, one side of the Caltrop glass reflects Zhen Shiyin's wishful thinking of providing a happy life for his daughter, but the other side shows the harsh reality of Caltrop falling into the melting snow, which is a homophone for Xue. Later in chapter 57, Baoyu asks Nightingale to leave her Caltrop mirror to him, revealing a connection between Caltrop and the residents in the garden. We can see the contrast between the cleanness inside the garden and the squalor outside as two sides of the same mirror. The girls in the garden and Baoyu are like Zhen Shiyin. They're absorbed by the lovely but transient images on one side of the mirror. Most prominently, Lin Daiyu's flower burial poem expressed her unwillingness to see flower petals flow outside of the garden and become contaminated, which is also a wish for herself. As Daiyu's shadow character, Caltrop's life as a concubine of a high-status, oafish man represents a possible path for Daiyu and the other girls in the garden, one that they do not want to see themselves taking. Therefore, Caltrop exists as a mirror for all the girls in the garden, reflecting an image that resembles them, but unlike them, resides in the outside world. Finally, Caltrop's tragedy foreshadows the eventual breakdown of the garden and sums up the fates of all female characters. At Baoyu's birthday party in chapter 63, Caltrop drew out a skull cap with the caption, 3 Springs Harbinger. This 3 springs usually refers to Yanchun, Yingchun, and Tanchun. Therefore, Caltrop's misfortunes provide clues about not only characters close to her, such as Dayu and Baochai, but also the 4 Jia girls. The withered and broken lotus plant in the illustration about Caltrop represents the ending of all the girls in the garden. After witnessing the tragedies of the other girls, Caltrop's life came to an end in the very last chapter, thus bringing the story full circle. In the land of the illusion, her fragrant self reunites with the others and blooms like a lotus once again.